Hold on to your hats and glasses, because this here is the Wildest Ride podcast. Welcome back to the Wildest Ride podcast. Today we talk World's Fair from 1964. And with me today, I got my boy, Big Tex.
Hey, howdy. Hey, what's up, everybody? I watched a video yesterday, so
Uh,
I mean, I'm sure we're gonna talk into it, but it did lead to like a big creation
yeah.
that he never really got to see through.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, I'm
Um,
sure what he wanted and what the end result was probably was not quite what they did. But
no,
no,
no.
we got a lot of that lately.
And that's usually what everybody talks about is the big one, right? The the community, right? That he planned. But there's a lot of little things um, prior to the World's Fair, leading up to it, that really helped Walt Disney World, become what it was. The funding and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's way more important than people realize. But yeah, we'll talk about that, and then we're also going to jump into some news. But real quick, some housekeeping. Uh, we have we've dropped a few really good episodes lately, so go back and listen to those. And also, this weekend I will be shooting another vlog from Disneyland, and I'm going to be trying to do Lightning Lane Plus at Disneyland. So we'll see how that works out. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna do it, but we'll see how effective it is.
Hey, for our East Coast viewers, do you think you could stream or you get a video the of the Halloween fireworks? Because that used to be our Hollow Wishes.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I would definitely do that.
Just so
Yeah.
I
Well,
could feel alive again.
hey man, if I could bring you back to life, I got you.
One last time.
Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, so go over to our YouTube channel. That'll be on our YouTube channel. Also, if you're a wrestling fan, we have a wrestling podcast, and
Oh yeah, we do.
coming soon, a wrestling YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. And also, if you're into movies, you know,
Yeah, I'm probably gonna. I think probably kick it back up with Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice comes out September 6th, so
yep,
I'll see it by the 5th. Definitely.
definitely excited for that.
I
I have
mean,
Beetlejuice all over the place here.
I'm
So
not. I'm not the biggest Beetlejuice fan, but I'll go see it.
yeah, yeah.
Anything I gotta buy to go see Alien. And in the back of my head, I was like, man, I really don't want to see Aliens. I'm not. That's not a franchise for me. And then like just watching the movie, although it's like aesthetically pleasing, like like the set looks awesome,
Yeah, yeah.
like that. And I know there's Alien has a following.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not one of those people.
Guess what? I agree with you. And my wife won't agree with you, but I agree with you.
And then you watch like towards the end of the movie, it was like, whoa, what the hell is that thing?
Yeah.
And it's like, overall, I think I gave it a passing grade. Like I gave it like a 7.1 out of 10, which that's passing. It's just a
Yeah.
movie I don't ever have to see again. I
You're
gave
very
it,
generous.
I gave it the old college try, and it's just not for me. And then you know what?
See,
That's the one beautiful thing about movies. What movies I like, Brian might not like, or what his wife might not like, what my wife might not like. My wife don't like a lot of movies.
I
So I
don't
really
know.
do end up finding myself going to the theaters by myself a lot, which that's okay because I look at it as like that's me time.
My wife does that. She quite a bit. She'll like, there's something that I'm like, nah, I'm really not interested at all. She's like, do you mind if I go watch it? I'm like, no, go for it. Handle. Do your thing.
Oh, dude, I wish there was an AMC closer, except going over to Disney Springs because Disney Springs
Mm,
is a little bit of a hassle. I mean, it's like honestly, it's about like a 25-minute drive. It's not like the end of the world,
yeah.
but I know for a lot of people, they usually got like AMC like in their community. That's great.
Yeah. Lucky for me, I got like 3 within like a 10-minute drive.
Well, man, dude, you live in California, so I'm sure, like y'all's AMC's, it's like our Publix. There's a Publix on every
Oh
on every.
yeah, yeah. We have a ton of everything. Um, I mean, we have literally a corner where we have Starbucks, like three Starbucks across from each other. It's kind of crazy. So,
Is there a
and
good
they're
chance
all very
that,
successful, huh?
that Magic Johnson owns all of them?
No, Magic Johnson owns L.A. Period. He owns the Dodgers. He owns, you know what I
Well, you
mean?
know he owns a quite a bit Starbucks's.
Yeah, and
Or
he
at
has
one
some
point
movie
he did.
theaters. Yeah.
Or
Did you
is the
did
Magic?
you hear about Chipotle's CEO moving over to Starbucks?
No.
Well, Chipotle was in debt or was like on the verge of bankruptcy, and they hired a CEO who's kind of like that's a specialty. Got him out of debt, got him out of bankruptcy, and now Starbucks is in a similar position, and they decided to hire him. And he
I
gets a jet. He
I
lives in Newport Beach out here, and
I
he has to fly out to Washington, and he gets a private jet to do it.
I can't ever imagine Starbucks going out of business.
No, but they
I can
they
see
they are
them.
they are having issues. So
Oh yeah, I can see it to a point where they get bought out by somebody.
yeah,
Because that's the thing to do in today's society. But
Disney's just gonna buy him.
that Starbucks name is golden for like eternity. Oh,
Yeah,
you
for
sure
sure.
like a Coca Cola, Pepsi is like just licking their chops like oh yeah.
Now you say that, but what if in 5 years we're like, remember when there used to be Starbucks?
Yeah, I promise Starbucks will not go away. It will
No,
never
I know.
go away. Somebody will buy them.
Yeah, for sure. No, the
It's like
name will
the
stay
point
around for sure.
Disney will never go away. Somebody will acquire them.
Comcast.
Oh, well, like the funny rumor that I don't know if it was rumor or if there was. I'm sure there was probably discussions, maybe not real serious discussions, but of like Apple essentially acquiring Disney.
Yeah, there was always these types of rumors, but I don't know how tangible are they. We really don't
Oh
know.
my god, I can't imagine a world where Disney's owned by somebody.
No, no. But I mean that Fox purchase really put them in a hole. So
Yeah, it was just bad timing with Fox. It
yeah,
was they got bought in 2019, and then 2020 the world shuts down. I can't ever imagine a time where the world shut down. So I'm sure
right.
if Disney could do it over again. I'm sure that acquisition probably would have happened. It probably just would have happened on a later date. You know?
Yeah, yeah. It really was just really bad timing for
Yeah,
them.
because I'm sure Disney was just in debt with like they just spent like what 60 billion, $70 billion
Yeah,
on Fox. Yeah, that was definitely nobody predicted that we were going to be going through that type of situation.
yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of bad timing, Halloween started in August for us here at Disneyland.
Oh, dude, it's been started for us at Disney
I
World.
know, I know. Yeah, so it's officially Halloween time here at the Disneyland Resort, which cool, I guess. I mean, it sells merch, so people are all over that stuff. They love it, and they do. They have the pumpkins up on the entrances now, and I'm sure the big pumpkins up. I haven't been, so I'll have to check that out tomorrow when I'm there. But
Yeah, dude.
yeah,
Okay, so I don't think you noticed. Allie made a good point when we went to Disneyland with y'all. So when we went that Thursday, it was all D23 day stuff and like
yeah.
Pixar that stuff. The day like that Sunday, they switched the banners over to Halloween.
Oh yeah, instantly. We noticed that was the first thing we noticed, and literally Pixar Fest was ended Friday. So the craziest part about it is that they just I'm pretty sure they just realized Pixar Fest wasn't doing it, and they're like, we ran this way too long. Just throw the Halloween stuff on. That's basically what they said. They started selling the merch early. I don't think they were supposed to start selling the merch until
For
the
what
23rd
Halloween?
for Halloween. Yeah,
They were already selling. Like I think it's because WDW was selling it already.
yeah,
Um, they were just probably like. hey, we got the inventory, so we might as well.
Yeah, I mean, because usually when you have a festival going on, you're gonna want to keep your banners up. You want to keep any specialty things that you can possibly keep up. People didn't know Pixar Fest was still going on, man. There was no recollection of that in the park at all.
Yeah. You think they're gonna do
So
Pixar Fest again next year?
yeah, but I think it'll be a shorter run.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think they dragged it, man. And in that last part, man, I felt bad for Pixar Fest. It just they had nothing going on for it,
I
nothing.
really wanted to go. Just timing.
Yeah.
Timing wasn't a good thing.
Well, technically, you did. I mean,
I mean, if I wanted to
technically,
buy merch, I could have.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it just you just didn't get the full blown Pixar Fest feel for it,
No, no. I mean, they were still showing the fireworks show, but
and they still had that show in the Hollywood section, or
oh,
like
did
that,
they?
like yeah, they had. That wasn't a show. It's like a party.
Okay. Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
By that time, my legs were shot. I really wanted to watch the fireworks. I was like, dude, my feet were just so much
you
pain.
just sat in your little scooter, man.
Yeah, okay, so my wife really wanted beignets, and where she decided she wanted to sit, I was trying to tell her, I was like, this is not ADA accessible. Like, I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
get to you. So the spot that where you found me at was
yeah.
where I had enough space, and so like I heard it, and I heard Fantasmic, which I mean, I guess WDW's Fantasmic is now superior to y'all's. Uh,
Yeah, technically, yeah. We don't have anything left with it. Well,
you know what? I feel like at that point, y'all should go back to the drawing board and maybe revamp Fantasmic. You know?
well, I will say this. Um, this is the perfect segue because our Phantasmic's so bad that people are literally fighting during Phantasmic. So, yeah, that's one of our news bits. Fighting during Phantasmic at Disneyland. It's typical Disneyland, I guess. I mean, you see the fights at Disney World and Disneyland. Do you remember a few years ago? I think 2018 or 2019. There was that big fight in Toontown between like a family.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
stuff
I was
always
there.
goes down in Two Town,
I,
Fantasyland.
I was I was there that day for that
Oh, were
very
you?
viral one. In one of my videos, I have the back half of that fight where nobody saw because they started fighting again right next to the Matterhorn when they were getting escorted by security. And this, so they started fighting again. They had to close off that entire square. Like they literally roped it off because they were fighting for that long. They were just there arguing, yelling at people. It was the craziest thing. And then all of a sudden, one of the dude that was like in the video hitting his like wife or whatever she was, this dude books it, like starts running out, like he just books it for the gate, and they got like 7 Disneyland security guards just running after this guy. It was crazy, dude. We were just sitting there watching it, like, what is going on? This is terrible. Like I don't know, man. But why do you fight? Like, why? I get it. It's hot. Tempers flare. You're in my spot. We were here first. Blah blah blah. Dude, don't fight because then you're never gonna be allowed in that park ever again. You're just gonna get trespassed, and
Yep.
then you're never gonna be able to take your kids again. You know what I mean? It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, I don't. I never understand why people fight at Disneyland. It's supposed to be the most happiest place on earth. And wasn't the fighting within the family?
Oh yeah, yeah. They were family for sure. Yeah. Yep. It was like the mother-in-law and the son fighting or something. I don't know what it was, to be honest, but it was really bad. It was just I mean, the viral clip is the one where they were fighting in Toontown, but I'll tell you, it might have been worse by the Matterhorn. Just watching it, like it, because they were screaming some stuff that they shouldn't be screaming. But man, it was pretty brutal.
You
Pretty
know
brutal.
what? I feel like at that point, oh well. That's what 10 less people that are going to stand in front of me at Disneyland.
10 less people. Not only that, 10 of the worst kind of people. You know what I mean? Like if you're fighting at Disneyland, you don't deserve to go to
Save
Disneyland.
that for Magic Mountain, baby.
Dude, that is Magic Mountain written all over it. And in fact, they encourage it at Magic Mountain. They'll get you a ring They get you a nice audience. They might even throw some weapons in there for you. Oh, Magic Mountain, baby. Yeah. Top tier. Top tier.
Yeah.
Well, there's you might be fighting this face character because you're not in love with him. The Hades face character. Did you see that?
Yeah. I mean, no, it's not for me.
I don't think it looks that bad. I'm still, um, I still think the Jack Skellington is the worst character ever created by Disney. The worst ever meet and greet character.
I
He,
disagree.
he
I
looks
think
terrible. He
I
doesn't
think a
even look
whole
like
bunch
Jack
of people.
Skellington.
Well, okay, in that case, how do you bring Jack Skeleton to as a like a meet and greet? That,
Not that way.
nah. I think that way. I think that way. It's not bad.
That's terrible. It's brutal. I've never once wanted to ever take a picture with Jack and Sally because of how bad Jack looks. And
I,
Sally doesn't look all that great either. I'm not
I
gonna
can't
lie.
take a picture with them because they have a 4 hour wait every single time.
Not at Disneyland.
You know what? Good for y'all. You want to meet them at Mickey's Not So Scary? You have to hop in
That's
line.
your whole ticket right
You
there.
have to hop in line like at 4 p.m. when they start letting people in.
It's in that theater, right?
They moved them to the theater now. Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
I would love to meet Jack and Sally, but I'm not gonna wait 4 hours. I'll wait
I'm not. I won't
the
even wait two
hour.
minutes. I don't want me. I don't want me with that picture.
Oh, stop
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm not. I'm not. I'm good. I'll pass on that.
Nah, yeah, I don't think Hades looks that good.
I don't think it looks that bad for a face character. It's not bad. This is
I
Disney
think
put.
Jack looks better than Hades.
Oh, come on, stop. Disney put together a costume like, and they made it maybe the worst looking costume of all time.
Oh my god, you're gonna get us canceled by the Disney people.
They agree with me. They know what I'm talking about. They
I'm
know
gonna
what I.
get I'm gonna get text messages a few days from now. It's like your buddy Brian's wrong. I can't believe he said that.
No, they understand. They know what I mean.
Do you know
They
how
they they look like Mickey Mouse in 1955.
many people came up to me and told me about your flight of passage take?
Whatever, dude. I rated it higher than you, so
But I didn't disrespect it.
I didn't either. I just didn't think it was the best ride in the park. Y'all over here, best ride ever. I'm like, maybe the best ride in Pandora.
It's the best ride at Animal Kingdom.
No, it's not. Everest by far.
I disagree.
I mean, we can disagree all we want. It's fine. It's opinion. My opinion's right, but whatever. It's cool.
I-
People hate me. I already know. I am a flight of passage hater now in people's eyes, even though it's my number 8 at Walt Disney World.
Yep, you're gonna be known as that guy.
I'm fine. I'll be that guy. I guess I'll be that guy. Well, I don't have any more news. Oh wait, yeah, we do. Sorry, I lied. We do. Universal. So I guess they're gonna have two host or kind of I don't know, what do you call them?
They're the official. I don't know if they're like the official icons, but they've been
Mm-hmm,
labeled the icons of this year. Like last year was Doctor Oddfellow,
mm-hmm.
and I will say I do enjoy when they say like, "Hey, these are the icons." It just kind of brings a little bit extra ness to HHN that I look for. Like everybody's gonna agree that Jack is the best icon that
Yeah,
Hollywood
yeah,
has
yeah.
ever had. Um, Last year I did like Doctor Oddfellow's story because do you know about Doctor Oddfellow's story?
No.
Okay, well him and Jack are connected.
Okay, yeah. So I've heard that the hosts are all connected in a way,
Yeah,
or
so
the
like last
icons.
year, you could kind of see Doctor Oddfellow's story played out in multiple like scare zones, and he had his own official house
Mm.
at HHN, and there's a scene in it where you see kind of like Jack's in it. Because essentially, I think what happened was, I think, and I could be wrong, Jack's like wanted for like murder and stuff like that. So he goes to
Hmm.
Dr. Oddfellow for help because he's working at Dr. Oddfellow's like circus. Well, Dr. Oddfellow was also killing people, so he didn't want to get caught. So he thought maybe by killing Jack, then it would kind of get the scent off of him. Well,
Right.
I think what's his name? Jack ended up scratching Dr. Oddfellow. So then now Dr. Oddfellow's powers, now Jack has some of those powers. And that's how Jack was kind of able to come back to life and then seek revenge on Dr. Oddfellow.
This just sounds like one of those really, really bad horror movies.
But hey, it works.
It works, yeah. Well, this year's icons are sinister and surreal, and we read this off during our HHN uh, preview video, I guess, or preview podcast. We talked about that you when you step into the park, you're going to be able to choose which side you go, the surreal side or the sinister side. So that's cool because that's kind of it has repeatability. You can go, you know, through both sides and all that
Mm-hmm.
type of deal. So I'm excited for that, to see how that plays out and how that plays out throughout the event, and all the little maybe Easter eggs or something that we'll be able to see. So it looks fun.
I agree. I agree. It's gonna be. Hey man, you don't have to. You could probably not tell me not one thing about HHN this year, and I would already be committed to going.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fun event, right? I mean,
Yeah, I remember. Okay, so after 2020, 2021, all like the scare actors were like a face mask, like they had face mask on, or they had some type of mask on, and they even had like the plexiglass up as well. Like
oh yeah,
that didn't really bother me because I was like, all right, I would much like, and I know a lot of people hated it,
right.
but I was like, okay, which one would you rather have? Would you rather have no HHN, or would you rather have this?
Right.
I will take this every single day.
Yeah. Well, some people just want it all. They just want it all. Sometimes you just can't
Yeah.
have it all. Well, let's jump into our topic. It's a big one. This is another history topic for us here, and this one I think, as much as Disneyland catapulted Walt into like a new stratosphere, I think the World's Fair in 1964 catapulted him into a completely new galaxy. Um, at the time leading up to the World's Fair, he was planning out Disney World, right? So Disney World was a thought. It was in his head. It's what he wanted to do. However, he didn't fully have the funding for it, so he really needed a way to generate sponsors. So he was looking at GE, Coca Cola, um, and Ford were the three that he had in mind. But he knew the only way he can do this was to use the World's Fair as kind of his way in. So
That's his launching pad.
yeah, so the World's Fair in 1964, the two main characters in this are Walt Disney and Robert Moses. This guy, Robert Moses, everybody looks at Walt Disney, great guy, legendary figure. Robert Moses was the opposite. He was considered a very greedy dude,
He
and
was what you call a prick.
he was a jerk. He was a racist jerk. He's
Yeah.
literally that's what he was. Well, his whole thing was real estate, was creating housing, but kind of kicking out minorities and the poor out of their homes and creating housing for the rich, kind of deal. So he was known as a greedy dude. So he, at this point in both of their lives, they were in like a transitional period in their lives. we know now Walt Disney World towards the end of his life. You know, he would die 5 years later, but Robert Moses lived a long
He
a
died
long
in
time past that,
1981.
like 91,
No, I think it was 80. Was it 81?
91.
Was it 91?
Yeah, yeah, 1991. Could have been 81. I don't know. That's not the point.
Pretty much, he lived a few more decades.
So they both they were at this time both thinking about their legacy, right? So they were thinking Walt Disney was more of a guy. He's like, oh, okay, so I've distracted people from real life, but have I made a significant change in the world? You know what I mean? And so he started thinking progressively, and you know the same thing with Robert Moses. He's been known as a bad guy, so he's wanted to change that narrative before he passed away by building a park in the middle of New York. You know, Flushing Meadows is was at that time a dump, literally. Um, so leading up to that, Walt had ideas for new attractions and stuff like that, but he just didn't have the funding for it. Uh, so once the World's Fair started coming around, uh, he started going to Coca Cola. Hey, I have, and then which was the early adaptation of the Tiki Room. Hey, would you guys like to sponsor this? And then he went to Ford. Hey, I have the early adaptation of the first. So we think of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, right? And you go, oh, that led to Hall of Presidents. It's actually the other way around. The
Yeah.
thought, because Walt Disney's plan was always to have a Hall of Presidents show,
Hmm.
but he had to scale it down for the World's Fair, and he just picked Lincoln because that was his favorite president. So in reality, the Hall of Presidents led to Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, even though the Hall of Presidents was technically never really built until Walt Disney World was.
Yeah.
But so he showed Ford that idea, and Ford kind of they dismissed it. They didn't really like it. So he would have to go back to the drawing board and look for somebody else to do that, to somebody else to sponsor that. So he went literally to the state of Illinois, and the state of Illinois decided they would sponsor Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. Um, because all this stuff he really really needed. He needed about $600,000 for each of these projects. And then he went to GE, and they came up with a Edison Square idea, right? So this was like the earliest adaptation of anything resembling Carousel of Progress. So they went they had this idea where they would build literally like a town square, but it was just Edison themed, and they would show the progression of electricity, like the light bulb and all this stuff. Um, that never really came to fruition. They decided to Walt decided it was a better idea to have more of a show the progression of technology than it was more just electricity. So he decided to essentially create Carousel of Progress at that point. That was hit. So that Edison Square went from, and that was originally planned to be at Magic Kingdom.
Disneyland. Oh,
No,
was
Magic
that Magic
Kingdom.
Kingdom?
Yeah, that was the early adaptation of Magic Kingdom. So was Edison Square like that it was supposed to be that was supposed to be like kind of next to Tomorrowland, I guess. um so they ended up doing Carousel of Progress instead, and they went to GE, and GE agreed to sponsor that attraction. um well, Ford still had nothing for the World's Fair exhibit, so they went to Disney and they're like, well, what about a Cars attraction where we go through scenes, right? So they did that. However, a few inventions came out of this World's Fair that are absolutely critical to Disney now. Um, the first being the Omni Mover. So this attraction led to the Omni Mover because Ford wanted people to be able to drive a car or get driven by a car through scenes. Like, and Walt Disney said, well, that's not practical actually having people drive cars. And then he saw the assembly line at at the factory and said, well, what if we can propel cars like this and keep them evenly spaced out and keep it all one, essentially just one mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really led to the Omnimover, which we see in like Haunted Mansion and all that stuff now. So that was a huge invention. But going back to Great Moments, that was that led to pretty much all the AAs, the audio animatronics. So that's another huge invention, obviously, because both of those things, the Omnimover and the audio animatronic, that was essentially built for the World's Fair, is something that we see in parks today. And
Yeah, they still using it.
yeah, it's crazy. So um
I
and
would much
then
rather see an animatronic than a screen.
oh, absolutely. Uh and before they were just puppets, literally sitting there. So if you go through a scene, it was just a puppet that didn't move. Um so the animatronic was a huge invention. But he wouldn't have been able to do that without the funding from, Ford and the World's Fair and stuff like that. Uh, so the Tiki Room he had already had planned out. Coke decided not to go ahead with it, so he just decided to just dump it in Disneyland. So it essentially that's where the Tiki Room came from. Was it was a plan for the World's Fair and essentially just dumped it there.
Now, why you wouldn't want the tiki room, I don't know.
Yeah, that was like yeah, Coke really dropped the ball on that one, I think.
Oh yeah,
And now
think
now
about it.
Dole
We
now
could have
Dole's
had
reaping the rewards.
we could have had Coke flavored cocktails
Uh huh.
at, at Trader Sam's.
We could have had some pineapple Coke, baby.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. They definitely messed that one up.
Yep. So um, I think it was Pepsi who still needed an attraction. Um, so they went to Walt Disney and asked him to build them something. Um, and essentially they needed something for UNICEF, which you know is all about kids. So he decided to build them It's a Small World, and that's where It's a Small World came out, and that was the first ever flume water boat attraction, which now we use again everywhere. So the 1964 World's Fair had a ton of innovation that honestly, if the 1964 World's Fair doesn't happen, which was very close to not happening, because there was a lot of stuff with Robert Moses that was going on that was a little shady. He kind of bypassed the BIE, which is the organization that creates or that runs like the World's Fairs and approves all this stuff and all that. And there's about like 100 nations that were under that umbrella. That if without their approval they don't show up, they essentially don't make anything for the World's Fair. Um, so if that doesn't happen, honestly, there's a good chance we don't get Disney World because a lot of this funding, a lot of this stuff was, you know, helped him be able to get the money to be able to do Disney World. Obviously, the big thing that came out of this was Walt's mind shifting from distracting people to trying to make the world better. And the thing that everybody associates the 1964 World's Fair with was the creation of Epcot, which way different in the mind of Walt Disney than what actually came to fruition. But um, originally, so when the 1964 World's Fair ended, the Carousel of Progress was opened at Disneyland, and it was a two-story building, which I pointed out to you last time when we were at Disneyland. And upstairs, so once you were done basically riding Carousel Progress, you would go upstairs and you would be able to see Progress City. There was a model, like a huge model of Progress City, just like in the People Mover. So that's essentially what you went
What's in the Carousel Progress building now?
Launch Bay. downstairs, and upstairs is a lounge.
This is what I think we should do.
Now stop. You put that. If you say Fantastic Four, I'm ending. I'm just gonna end it here, and we're out. That is no longer this doesn't come out. Although I did see the trailer for Fantastic Four, and I'm low key starting to lean your way.
I'm just trying to tell you, bro.
Yeah, no, you know that'd be interesting. I just don't want it at Disneyland. I want the original at Disneyland.
We got it at Disney World.
I know,
We can't
but
do
I
nothing
only go there.
Fantastic Four.
I only go there every 2 years, man. So
We can't do nothing Fantastic Four at Disney World.
I want to show up to Disneyland at 11:50 and ride Carousel of Progress. All right, that's what I want in life right now. That's where I'm at. Um. So yeah. And then Robert Moses this entire time looks, he was a villain basically, essentially in the eyes of New Yorkers, and that didn't change because it turns out the guy was racist, and there was plans. The transit authority planned to put stops, like subway stops, train stops at the World's Fair, but he didn't want to do it because he said that would essentially bring in lower class and minorities. So that's the type of guy that this dude was. But his whole
Well,
legacy,
you and I wouldn't have been able to experience it.
so essentially what he really wanted was um, the infrastructure of the World's Fair to be built. So when it was done, he essentially had his park built. That was his whole plan. His whole plan was to have Robert Moses Park built right in the middle of Flushing Meadows, so that his legacy would be a little more positive. So he went through this entire whole thing, getting the World's Fair to New York, getting like essentially, um, he kind of went behind the backs of the BIE, which he started hiring private parties from different countries to do the pavilions instead of like the actual countries themselves. So yeah, but it was actually the 1964 World's Fair was positive for Disney and a huge success for Disney. It was a major failure for
Yeah, it
Robert
didn't
Moses.
lose a lot of money.
Lost a ton of money.
They were trying to bring in what they thought the projections
Two
like
hundred thousand people a day.
yeah, and it wasn't until what, October.
October the second year. So they in 1965 they had two seasons of it. 1964, not one time did they ever reach that amount of people in a day at all. The entire time. In 1965, it wasn't until October where they started reaching those numbers and surpassed it. But he wanted about, I think it was like $400 million in profit essentially. In his mind, he thought that's what it was going to be, something like that. So all the investors and all that stuff would be able to get paid back. They all put in about $22 million. Well, because of that October being so profitable, they actually were in the green at the end of it all, but it was only 11 million. And instead of giving that money back to the investors, he essentially just used it for the park. He kind of just said, "Nah, screw you guys. We're you're not getting your money back." Uh, Built the park, tried to build the park, just didn't happen, man. Um, you can go there now. There's still the globe and all that stuff. Um,
Hey, if you mess with people, they tend to mess back.
yeah. So his legacy was essentially a big failure. He really wanted it. He really wanted his legacy to turn from positive or from negative to positive, and I think he solidifies himself as a villain throughout this whole entire thing with the World's Fair, because a lot of stuff came out. He literally fired a guy who was like 65 years old, ended up having a heart attack right after that. Um, just just the worst type of person, and it really turned out terrible for him, but honestly, it turned out great for us because we ended up getting Walt Disney World and a lot of these attractions, like because originally you think about it, the Haunted Mansion was supposed to be a walkthrough, but then they essentially said, "Oh, well, we got this Omni Mover, let's make it an
Well,
Omni Mover."
wasn't it supposed to be a walkthrough and then a water ride and then
Yeah, there was
a mover?
yeah, but the original plans were for it to be literally a haunted house walkthrough,
Yeah.
and you just walk through scenes and stuff. Can you imagine if they did that? The amount of people who would just sit in there all day, and you would not be able to walk through that thing at all.
Yeah. I don't know if the Haunted Mansion would still be up if you now because
No,
the walkthrough attractions, which you said probably not the most popular.
no. The only one that we still have at Disneyland is the Sleeping Beauty's castle walkthrough.
I mean, would you
So,
say Tarzan?
oh, Tarzan, I guess. But yeah, yeah. I don't know. And to a point, like maybe Tom Sawyer Island a little bit, but they're not. They're not popular. They're not at all. Well, for you guys, it's definitely going away. So
Nar, nar.
no, but if you really think about it, the audio animatronic, the Omni Mover, the boat flume ride, um, the
would
Tiki
he,
Room.
I would even say like yeah, it was revolutionary for Disney, but it was revolutionary for just theme parks as a whole.
Oh yeah, for the industry in general, and that's why Walt's known as a visionary. So, and there's a lot you can go into a whole rabbit hole on the whole like. So he called different companies to do all this different stuff, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So like the Omni Mover was he called a certain company to come try and build that. The log flume or the flume ride thing was built by Arrow, going back to the whole Arrow thing. So there's just a lot of pieces involved, but it was one man whose vision for it all
And
really.
the one unique thing I would say that you got to give Walt a ton of credit is he knew how to put his Disney twain from it just being from you go from an amusement park now to a
Yeah,
theme park. Like look
right.
what all the like he got the Sherman Brothers to write and
Mm,
sing what it's a small world and Carousel of Progress,
Ken Carousel Progress, yeah.
and those are
Um,
those are
and
songs that are still highlighted to this day.
not only that, but the vision that he had for like it's a small world. The original design was very bland, and people didn't like it, and he didn't like it, so he got Mary Blair to come do the art for it. That's
You
just being a visionary.
Can you go talk a little bit more into the Great Times with Mr. Lincoln? Because I know there was a little bit of back history, and like all like it was a little bit of a troubling process, right?
Okay, yeah. So they were working on an animatronic. Obviously, it's the first of its kind where it's going to move and look like the guy's literally alive. Right. That's the first because they've had AAs before. They just weren't as elaborate as what they were trying to make this. They legitimately got an actual a mold of Abe Lincoln's face, like a real mold of Abe Lincoln's face, to be the mask for the AA. But yeah, but what happened was like the first adaptations of it was melting the rubber off the mask. So there's certain things that they had to do. Like the first ever showing of it, that first day that they actually popped it on, it only played 7 times because it just wouldn't work. You would actually almost say it was a failure during the World's Fair, but everything else was so positive for Disney, like the Small World,
Would you say
Carousel of Progress, and all that stuff.
at that time that was probably their most ambitious project was Great Times with Mr. Lincoln?
Yeah, for sure, because that's something that nobody's ever seen before. In fact, people were afraid. I don't know so much they were afraid, but like they go, God wouldn't like this
Because
recreating
yeah,
a human. You know what I mean? In robot form, essentially. There was a lot of negative, even from Imagineers. There was negative feedback towards Walt about this, which is
uh,
ironic because now Walt's family's
it's
got that
bad
negative.
about the Walt animatronic.
The Walt, yeah, yeah,
Well, he did it first.
yep, yep. That's the irony of all this, man, for sure. But yeah. So a lot of these attractions, man, they led to. Honestly, I'm in the belief I'm in, and I might be in a minority in this. I don't think Walt Disney World happens without the 1964 World's Fair.
Oh, probably not.
Yeah, there's just a lot that you know.
I think a lot of things had to go his way,
Right,
and they did. Especially like think about it. When he came over to Orlando, all this was swamp,
right,
and so Walt did the smart thing of going under fake businesses to
right.
acquire all this land. Because I mean, if you look at how Disney World is compared to Disneyland, well,
Hmm.
what's surrounding Disneyland? Not a whole lot of room for expansion.
No,
And let's say like this. I'm gonna use a bad example. Let's say somebody wanted to build a strip club right by Disneyland.
really,
They could,
they have, and they did.
you know, where Disney World, uh, he decided, well, you know what? I'm not gonna make the not necessarily the same mistakes, but I'm gonna build. I'm gonna essentially start from an open canvas, and I kind of control what goes around Magic
Right.
Kingdom, Epcot, Polynesian, Grand Flow, Contemporary. I'm gonna essentially govern that compared to having these cheap hotels, these cheap restaurants, kind of because if something negative happens there, that could be a negative side
No,
effect
it is.
for
It
Disneyland.
is a negative towards Disney, and that's something that's been in the past. So at that time, he only had the money to build Disneyland, and that's essentially all he had. So he did he had the foresight to buy more land. He wanted to buy more land because he did want to do kind of what he did at Walt Disney World at Disneyland. He just didn't have the money for it. So essentially, he bought that orange grove and a little bit more around it, and that was all he can afford at the time. But his problem was he didn't do it undercover. And once people heard about this project, everybody just started buying the land around him, and that's essentially what happened. He was hoping that he would be able to build Disneyland and that land still be available, but it just people got smart and were like, nope, we're gonna buy this land around you. Um, in fact, he didn't even have enough money to build the Disneyland hotel. He had to get that a third party to build that.
We'll save that for another. we'll
That
save
is
that
an
for another
interesting
video.
episode, man. That I'm telling you right now, the Disneyland hotel saga is crazy. Like it's absolutely nuts.
Have you ever stayed at the Disneyland Hotel?
Yes, but when I was a child,
Ah, dude, I've stayed at the Disneyland Hotel twice. It's it's my favorite hotel to stay at.
I go through it a lot. So I do go and walk through it and kind of look at the history stuff. And did you see the merchandise wall that they have there?
Now
Oh,
I didn't get to go through Disneyland Hotel the last time we were there.
okay. No, they've had it there for a good 10 years. But it's
Oh,
in
I
it.
I, I probably did because last time I stayed at the Disneyland Hotel was I want to say February of 2022.
Okay. Yeah. So if you go, there's a lot of cool aspects to that hotel. Obviously, the history. But that hotel looks so much different. It's 100% different than what it used to look like. It used to look like it looked a lot like the Polynesian before. So like the outdoor type rooms that the Polynesian has, that's kind of what the Disneyland hotel looked like.
That's also kind of like the things I just like about the. I, let's save all that for for another video because I'm getting excited to talk about the Disneyland Hotel because we could probably talk about that for a great length.
Yeah.
Is there any other tidbits that we might have missed for the World's Fair?
Um, the aesthetic of the World's Fair also led to the redoing of Disneyland's Tomorrowland and led to what Walt's vision for the future looked like. So that's why the aesthetic of the World's Fair looks a lot like what Disneyland's Tomorrowland looks like, and it essentially led to the People Mover and all that stuff. So, I mean, the World's Fair was huge. People don't give it credit. Like everybody goes Disneyland, changed the course of history, but the 1964 World's Fair did maybe more for theme parks and Disney history than even Disneyland did. because all those rides that they built, the legendary rides like uh, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Haunted Mansion, those came out of what the technology that they were able to create from the World's Fair.
Yeah.
So
So what you're telling me is that Disney should make a 1964 World's Fair movie and bring back Tom Hanks to play Walt Disney,
absolutely,
and we
because
should add the
there was a
Walt Disney,
lot of drama for that, dude. That would make a phenomenal movie.
and we should have the Walt Disney Cinematic Universe.
That'd be cool. Yep, yep. It'll
I
all
mean,
tie in.
there's a lot of interesting stories that you probably could tell from like Walt Disney. Uh, like I mean, just how he got hit started in like the business.
Yep.
You could go from his early creations with Oswald,
Hmm.
him losing Oswald to
Well,
him
that's
winning
another episode right there. Is the whole saga with Universal. So, that's one of those
greatest
that we.
greatest trade ever happened.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, it's funny that you said a live action. My whole thought process too was I have a perfect guy to play Robert Moses, Steve Buscemi, baby.
If
Yeah,
anybody from Disney's listened to this, if you end up doing it, we'll take swag bags.
you know what? I'll take 1%, 1%, baby. That's it. Just give me 1%.
Something that I can put my kids through college.
Just put a billboard of our podcast in your park. That's it.
And we just want seats at the well, I guess it's the El Capitan.
Yeah, and in 2 years we want front row seats for the parks panel.
Nah, I want to go take it a step further. I want my own panel.
Yeah, we'll go straight to Armageddon stuff. I don't want to ever pay taxes again. Oh man, no, but yeah, the World's Fair, man, huge, 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 huge. I actually when I went to New York, I did pass by where they had the World's Fair, because actually that's where the Mets baseball stadium is built. Um, so I did pass by. I didn't get off and actually go wander around. I will, and I'll make a video about it one day because
I
there's.
still need to go see the Mets stadium because every time I try to go, it's raining. It's been raining.
Oh really? Yeah, City Field's good. It's a fun place.
Been in Yankees.
Yeah, me too. Yankees was cool too.
Yeah.
Um, I've been to both. I've done Shea Stadium and City Field, and I've done Old Yankee Stadium and New Yankee Stadium.
I've
So
only done New Yankee Stadium.
it's cool. At the time, I actually went to one season that the Yankees were really bad. It's like 2016 where they didn't make the playoffs. They won like 81
That
games, something like that.
that's always great in my opinion.
No, it's great. It was fantastic because there was like half the stadium was full, and we were able to walk around and sit in different seats. And then we didn't have the annoying Yankee fans yelling at us, so it's cool.
Oh my god, Yankee fans are so obnoxious. I don't know
Yeah.
who's worse. And now we're going off a tangent, but if it's Red Sox fans or Yankee fans,
Oh, I'll tell you who. Astros fans.
stop it. Stop it.
We didn't cheat.
Hey, I sleep comfortable at night.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
How was that Mickey Mouse championship y'all won?
At least we did it. At least we did it honorably.
Yeah, okay. They should have just watched that season.
Yeah, that's one of those. I mean, look at the hat I'm wearing. This is the one I consider the last
Oh
World
my
Series.
god. Oh, okay, yeah, that one. I'm like, can we even acknowledge them as like they won a World Series? Like, if you wanted to call it anything else, I think I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. The my issue with it is that team that they did have in 2020 was very good. And they were yeah, they ended the season at a pace of winning 125 games for a shortened season, and they did go through the postseason and were fairly dominant. So it does suck because you're always going to get that cloud of COVID over you. but they were very good that year. They were
And
really, really good.
it all worked out. You got
Yeah,
Shohei Ohtani now. Did
yeah.
he's having a monster year.
He just hit his 40th home run, stole his 40th base yesterday. So in a walk off grand slam. So that's exciting.
He's probably going to be the greatest player of our generation.
Aaron Judge is doing a fantastic job too, though.
Okay, but this dude can literally hit, can pitch.
Yeah, run, steal
He
bases, do
ain't
all that.
even he ain't even pitching this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll save this for our sports podcast that we start in a few weeks. Um, but anyway, yeah, 1964 World's Fair. It's big, huge. Obviously, what 1960 or 71 was it when Disney World was built,
Yeah.
and then Disney died in 69, I think it was. So this was right in the middle of him planning Disney World. So um, again, like I said, I don't think it happens without it. I don't the innovation and all that. It took him to a whole new stratosphere. So um, yeah, Walt Disney good, Robert Moses bad. It's kind of the gist of it. Um, but yeah, so that's
Yep.
all I got for the 64 World's Fair. You got anything else?
Uh, I will say the one thing that I found interesting is that the guy that they cast to voice Lincoln, uh, they somebody told him that he needed to cast a different guy.
Right.
Walt really liked the guy that they currently cast, and
Yeah, because he played Lincoln in a TV show.
yeah, and he
Yeah.
wanted he initially told him to do something just to see how he would do it, but that's not what he was looking for. He was looking for something completely different. Of like when he was saying like what was the Gettysburg Address?
Uh huh. He wanted
Uh
more of a broken man.
yes. And he
Yeah.
literally broke the man.
Yeah. So essentially, he's like, if you're not going to give me that performance genuinely, I'm going to break you. Then I'm going to make you do it again. And he did, and he got the performance he was looking. Have you ever sat there and watched Great Moments?
Dude, I love great moments for Mr. Lincoln.
Yeah. So you hear that speech, and it gives you chills, man. That performance was great.
I love American Adventure, Hall of Presidents, and Great Times with Mr. Lincoln.
Very patriotic of you.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah.
do. I do get excited for that stuff.
Anytime I watch the American Adventure, what they should do is they should have the army table right outside if you want to enlist.
Yeah, no shit on. It's funny. I get very when I anytime I see anything colonial America, I get very patriotic. So
It's like almost like you wanted to go to a theme park, right?
yep, yep.
Yep, you know,
It's like
just go
here we
to
go, sign me up, I'm in,
you wanna
baby.
you wanna go to that Virginia, that America Disney Americas in Virginia.
That's another video, man. That's another video. That's an interesting one because of what could have been. I honestly think that park would have been a failure. So
I mean, probably did, but you got some cool attractions that came from it.
yep. Well, technically, your pirates what kind of came from it, right? So it was supposed to be
Uh,
Frontier Adventure or whatever it was.
I know what came from it eventually was Soren.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, hopefully they do. I think they're due. Honestly, I know they probably spend a lot of money on the AI and stuff like that for Soren. I think they're due for a new Soren again.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
What are you gonna do?
So I
Soren
rode, I
around the
rode
universe?
something, man. Give me something. So I rode Soaring Around the World the other day, and I sat there, and we were in the middle, so we didn't get the curvy Matterhorn or the curvy Eiffel Tower. But I just sat there and I was looking at it, I was like, this doesn't get me hyped like the California Adventure or the California version did. So, like, Soaring Over California, I loved it. The only problem with it was it was shot in 2000. You know what I mean? So, if they had a better uh, quality version of that, then I think it'd be hands down the better version.
I think what they probably could do with Soren around the world is maybe do different versions. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not like I do like Soren around the world. I do like Soren around California. If you could do maybe like I don't know, Soren around Florida, You could do maybe a Soaring Around the World 2.0 with maybe other different landscapes of the
I just want
world.
them to keep it less CGI. So like I really don't like the CGI stuff when it comes to like trying to keep it real. Like I don't care that there's a whale hopping out of the ocean. Just give me the visuals of like where we're going. You know what I mean?
Or a Soaring Around the United States.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Soaring over the U.S. Man. That's the next one. You know,
Again, we'll take swag bags.
we're printing money, baby.
Yeah, I feel
I,
like you can do a lot of things with Soaring just in general. I do get the what people's displeasure with World. I don't
yeah,
know. I like World, but
I
I also
don't.
like.
I like the idea of world, and I like the scenes. I just wish they were executed better. How about that?
Okay, so maybe after Test Track 3.0, we get another update to Soaring.
I feel like within the I will if I was a betting man, I would say within the next two D23s we're gonna get an announcement for a new Soren.
But I mean,
So that gives me
they
4 years.
they just updated this new Soaring now.
It wasn't that. How long? It was just like 10 years ago.
I mean, that's still relatively new.
Yeah, but it took them 10 years to change the old one.
Maybe I
I'm
don't.
just saying. I'm
Listen.
just saying. In 4 years, that's going to be about 15 years that they've had this Soren. That's
I don't
enough.
hate. I don't hate the idea.
Uh huh.
I don't hate it. I'm
Here,
just.
here, here's an
I'm.
idea that's going to shatter you because you're going to be like, why would you like how? I think they should switch Soren over to Flight of Passage.
Ow. Oh. I mean, that's what I kind of thought that was going to happen.
Um,
I just don't think how that building, what they use for Soren and what they use for Flight of Passage, I just kind of
well,
feel like
let
is.
let me let me just say this over. Flight of Passage style attraction. How about that? So
What,
just the
Avatar?
no, just it doesn't have to have the Avatar IP tied to it. So just that style of attraction with a different maybe a different IP attached to it. So
I mean,
I don't know what, but it would.
I
I
wouldn't
think
hate it.
yeah. I just
I
think
would.
Soren's like I think Soren's technology is limited. Where you can do a lot more with the flight of passage technology. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
they can
but
only update that, and then they won't do this. I know they won't, but you can only do so much with what you like with the scenes on Soren, where you could do a ton with the technology of flight of passage.
man, you must really hate Soren, huh?
No, I love Soren, dude. I really love Soren. People always like but soaring over California, I like was the first like that was one of the first rides I fell in love with at DCA. Loved it. Like I just one of my favorite things ever.
You know what's so funny? It's just like, okay, so you grew up in California, and they make a
Hmm.
theme park about California,
Yeah.
and it's stuff that you probably have driven through in
Hmm.
California. That you see it on a big screen.
Yeah, but if you think about it, California's so big, so it goes through San Diego, it goes through Los Angeles, it goes through Northern California, parts of Redding, California. Like that's more Oregon. Like that's up there. That's a 7 hour drive. So it's not like it's an everyday thing, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, I tell you, I don't go to Miami every weekend.
right. So but you're right. A California themed attraction in California where we've done the real stuff is kind of like you should have rethought that idea. The whole maybe another episode Westcott. Did you ever see the idea for Westcott?
Yeah.
Oh, if they would
Oh,
have
I
built
know.
Westcott,
The
man.
they have plans to do a theme park over at Long Beach,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like that's eventually what became of Disney Tokyo Sea.
Yeah, so it's exactly what it was. So Tokyo Disney Sea, essentially, they even have a version of the Long Beach Harbor. Like, it's kind of almost, if you go look at it, they have like that ocean liner restaurant there that's supposed to be kind of like the Queen Mary and stuff like that. Apparently, that's a nod to where it was supposed to be in Long Beach. So
Okay.
yeah, we,
See,
we
man.
we we can go to that spot. We'll next time you're in town, we'll drive over to Long Beach and then we'll go to that spot where that theme park was supposed to be built, and you'll see because the views on from there are incredible. So it would have been a really scenic park. It would have been really cool.
Hey, now the people of Japan can now enjoy
Hey, you're welcome.
it.
Um,
Arguably, probably the best theme park. You know.
I don't know who's arguing that. It's I guess subjective to what you enjoy. So um, I my favorite theme park is Epcot. And it's because I am a big World's Fair type of guy, and Epcot had a lot of that feel to it for me. It's very World's Fairsy, and I love that like hands on like interactive stuff that goes along with it. So that's why I love Epcot so much.
I'm always and ever will be a Disneyland guy.
Disneyland is nostalgic and it is um, f- forever my home, but they've changed it so much from when I was a kid that it's no longer nostalgic for me. You know what I mean? Like, except for like Main Street and the castle and all that, it will always be that. But Tomorrowland, a shell of what it used to be. You know, like it's not the same anymore. Um, I really like that whole Big Thunder Ranch area in the back that they took out to put Galaxy's Edge. Don't get me wrong, I love Galaxy's Edge, but they took out Big Thunder Ranch. Was you could go pet the goats and stuff. It was just something very simple, but it was very effective. So
So let me ask you this: which one would you rather have? Would you rather?
Galaxy's Edge, but the feeling's gone, man. The feeling's gone.
That's why like people are like, "Listen, y'all better not fumble this car sled for us." Talking about rivers of America, I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
no. Which at
Well,
the end of the day,
I
which one
think
would you rather have?
I think what people are more annoyed about isn't the fact that they're taking out Rivers of America. I think people think that they have more land to play with than they realize. And I think people are like, you have an entire and I think this is where people don't understand the zoning part of all this. So um
There's
everyone
levels
goes,
to
you have
this.
nothing but land at Disney World. Yeah, a lot of that land is literally is not zoned to be theme park land. There's only a specific amount of land that's actually themed or zoned to be theme park land. So they couldn't just go, a mile behind the river and build the land. They just couldn't do that. That's not allowed. So that's why they're not landlocked per se, but they do have to build it within a certain restriction, and that's why Rivers is going away. The more I think about it, the more I think they're going to do such a good job with it that they're going to build in scenic views that are going to surpass what we have currently with Rivers of America.
Oh yeah, I think they're gonna. I think one thing is Disney's gonna listen to all the complaints about it.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna do right by everybody. You know, man.
yeah,
Like, if you think about it, you're getting right now 4 new attractions.
right.
Let alone four. We don't know what's gonna be coming a few years from now. We very well could be getting a whole nother land, uh, right by Villain's Land.
Hmm.
That's what I'm thinking because Villain's Land to me seems very seamless with like the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. Oh,
So
for
I do
sure.
think you're gonna get your behind Big Thunder Mountain. Maybe it's what you're saying is absolutely correct with the zoning. Maybe they're like, you know what? Let's not blow our load right now.
That so they can get that rezoned into theme park land. Takes a lot.
Absolutely.
Takes a lot to do. Like a lot of you got to go through a lot to do that. So
And
it
one
can
thing
be done.
people don't realize is now that Disney's made that agreement with the state of Florida.
Oh
With
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
with like
with
the
the
Reedy
I
Creek
forget
stuff.
what the district's called, but when
Yeah,
they were having their beef and stuff like that, maybe they did have those plans, and something maybe fell through that they they're instead of saying a blue sky idea, say all right, maybe we'll hold back on this till
hmm
next 23. Like, but
So
man, if you think,
so if you're gonna blame somebody, blame DeSantos.
oh yeah, always, always.
Always blame
Well,
DeSantos.
dude, you're getting 4 new attractions. You're getting a brand new nighttime parade. You might even get, I would assume maybe by that point, you might get a new nighttime fireworks show. No, 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 I'm probably putting too much. That
How long
that
has Happily Ever After been going?
I mean, it's Happily Ever After's back, but I would say the reason why I think it took them so long to bring back a fireworks show was
Yeah,
because working Happily Ever After, dude, bro, was not necessarily a nightmare, but people would be waiting 2 hours beforehand just to watch the fireworks.
right,
you know, and it was always busy. So I don't think they had ideally the turnaround that they would like for having a nighttime parade and then doing happily ever after. I think that was essentially what was the issue.
right. Okay, I see that. Um,
But one thing I would love to do, if they ever wanted to bring back a concept, whatever happens to that Main Street theater that we were supposed to get.
yeah. I wonder what did happen with that because
I
it
think
was supposed to extend out to the right of Main Street, right?
I think what they were saying is it would have made Main Street too congested.
Yeah, that makes sense. But so what would they have put in that theater?
I think they would have probably been like your version of the Hyperion.
Okay. Would it be too tall? I mean, would it be too much of an eyesore? Is that why they probably didn't do it?
Okay, but my thing is, all right. Let's say, for instance, you're not going to put it there. Well, who's to say that you can't put a theater somewhere else in Magic Kingdom?
So Magic Kingdom doesn't have any theaters right now.
No.
I mean, aside from PhilharMagic, they have that type of
I
theater.
mean, if we're talking shows,
Yeah,
I mean the animatronic shows.
yeah, yeah. Oh, fuck. Oops. Oops. All right, there I go. Um, yeah, I think they need a theater. Because I think they could do a really cool show with it.
Or like
Um,
you get like Epcot. I think maybe Epcot would probably tie a whole lot better with like, especially with the art festival.
yeah.
Uh,
Don't they have a theater? I thought they had a theater there.
Not like a live show.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, okay, so they had the Voices of Liberty, but that's an American
Yeah,
Adventure,
but that's indoor. That's
and
yeah,
they have that one. They have that one concert hall that's outside of American Adventure where they do like the Eat to the Beat and stuff like that
yeah.
but not like a place where you can see like a Broadway style show is what I'm saying.
Right. Right.
Like even like I would to me, I always thought it was kind of crazy that we don't essentially you have to land at like well I don't know if you have to land out at Disney Springs, but when you were talking of doing all this stuff at Disney Springs, hell okay, oh you have what was the NBA experience. Why not
Right.
turn that into a Broadway theater?
Well, don't they have Cirque du Soleil?
But that's a different style of show.
Yeah.
you know where like like I know for a lot of people it's probably hard to go out to New York to see a Broadway show.
Yeah.
If they were to actually show like a Broadway production of a show at Disney Springs,
Aladdin. Put Aladdin in there.
you could do Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast,
Because you have a
whatever you
Broadway
want to do.
style show in Lion King at Animal Kingdom.
But like I'm saying like a real Broadway style show. I'm not saying like a 30, 45 minute show. Like no, like
Oh,
make
you
this
want
like
like a 3 hour show?
you could. You sell it like it's a Broadway style show.
Man, that's well, you would have to put that at Springs. You can't do that at a theme park.
What I
3
was gonna
hours
say.
at a theme park is too much.
All right, well, if all right, if you wanted to do like a theater, yeah, you do a 45-minute show at
Yeah.
one of the theme parks. But if you wanted to say now, sell like you could sell tickets and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
this, do it at Disney Springs because now
Dude,
you have all these
I'll
options.
just plop the Hyperion from DCA over to you guys,
Because
and we'll
now
use
think
that
about
space
it, you
for
can now
Avatar.
capitalize on that. You can capitalize on for like the restaurants because a lot of people are
Mm-hmm.
now going to a show and a movie, you know,
True.
and you just make it part of the entertainment.
Yeah, I get it. I see that. I think Epcot would be better for that, though. Like you said.
Yeah, yeah. It's they. I think they need some type of show. I know we have like Beauty and the Beast. That
Mm-hmm.
show's very outdated. I do know people still love it, but it's
Yeah.
outdated.
Oh, Disneyland needs a show where Mickey and the Magical Map was at.
Yes,
They just bring it back. I love that show. I don't know why they took it out. The show is great.
I
So
think Disney just hates entertainment.
I think just Disney hates us in general. Period. That's it.
Could
I
be.
don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Um, but yeah, you have anything else?
I have nothing else.
Nothing else, huh?
Well, Brian,
Well,
this has always been fun.
yeah, yeah. This
I'm
has been a long tangent at the end of our 1964. Did you even remember that we did the 1964 talk? Oh man,
Listen, one thing about podcasts with me is we're definitely going to go off the rails.
yeah, for sure.
If
Yeah,
you would listen to my wrestling podcast, which I know you did, that was
yeah,
3 hours
great.
of going off the rails.
I could probably do 3 hours of Disney. I don't know if I could do 3 hours. I could probably do 3 hours of wrestling too, man. I don't know. Once you get into a convo, you get into a convo, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that'll do it for this one. I will leave you with this though. Jack Skellington is still the worst character ever made.
Bye.
See you guys later. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Wildest Ride podcast. Please follow us on Facebook and on YouTube for the latest content. And make sure you subscribe on Spotify so you don't miss any of our latest episodes. And I hope to see you back here real soon.